The purpose of this redesigned ground tackle is to reduce the amount of weight which has to be carried round. The conventional ones, if you forget about that one there, the conventional one had a fair amount of chain there and usually needed about 10 kilos to make the mark stand up. And then there's another couple of lengths of chain which you can see here, which are to make sure that the rope stays on the bottom and the anchor doesn't drag. The whole weight of it would amount to something in the order of about 25 kilos, which is far too heavy, I believe, for some of our junior members to have to carry. Part of their work is of the morning is to take the marks and the ground tackle down to the mark laying boats. So what I've done is I've actually split this main straightening weight, or ballast weight if you want to call it, into two bits. And the second bit is a detachable one here, and it works out that there's about 60% of the weight needed in that one, and about 40 which is still in the chain, in the ground tackle. The club also has these things, which do exactly the same thing. They're considerably heavier, and they're a very, very difficult thing to have to work with and handle. I suggest you don't use them. So when you're on the water and you have to start getting these things ready for laying, first thing you do obviously is take everything out of the box. You hook the ground tackle to the anchor and to the eye of the buoy. There's another rope also, which is this one here, and that attaches onto the top of the mark, which is here. And this is specifically used for the removal of the mark from the water when you have to retrieve it from the boat. It's all around about, the whole thing's around about trying to reduce the amount of strain which people have on their backs. And I've had personal experience from getting bad backs and hurt backs out of manually handling these things, and it's not a nice thing to do. So first thing is hook the bottom onto the rope onto the mark. Then the trip line, you can put that onto the top of the mark, and then you can put the supplementary weight on as well, and the mark's ready to put in the water. We have here a fisheye view of what the mark would look like in about 10 feet of water. There's you can see that the supplementary weight hangs down, whereas the main ground tackle is laying out along the bottom. There's plenty of weight to make sure that the anchor stays, the pull on the anchor remains parallel with the seabed. If an anchor's if you end up with the anchor with the pull not being parallel with the seabed, it will drag. So the more things you can put in place to make sure the angle of pull stays parallel with the seabed, it's the best chance you've got the thing never dragging. A couple of other points about these particular beasts. A soft mark is better to work with than a hard one for two reasons. If they sit in the sun too long, they'll could overinflate and burst, and secondly, they don't take up as much space in the boat. They're a lot easier to handle, and also if they don't want to stand up properly, letting a bit of water out will make them sink lower in the water and make them more likely to stand up. So that's it. Connected the ground tackle to the mark, and now all I have to do is get the supplementary weight out of the box, which is in front of Tom. Clip that on. When you're laying any mark, best way to do it is feed everything over the side. Always fall that way. Put the boat into gear. Head upwind. Make sure that the rope is lying straight out along the bottom, which is most important if you don't want the thing to drag. If you don't pull it out straight and you end up with a tangle of rope on the bottom, the rope could actually get tangled up in the flutes, and then there's nothing really then to stop the mark from dragging. Approach the mark, heading up, putting the boat up into the wind. The side which you approach it from depends on which side the boat is weighted. That is, if you've got if the helmsman is on the left-hand side of the boat, it's best to go and attack the mark from the right-hand side, and vice versa. The thing you have to identify up front is the trip line. And this particular mark here, you can see it's just laying in front of us. Put the boat to neutral, comes alongside, and you unhook the trip line and start pulling. When you get the chain aboard, stand on it, or hook it in so it doesn't go over the side, and continue to pull up the rope until you get the anchor aboard. Give the anchor a bit of a wash. As we know, the bottom of this bay is pretty filthy. Put the anchor in the boat, and you can pull the mark in, along with a supplementary weight. Unhook both of them. You can stow the mark. Put the anchor into the anchor box. Remember that the anchor goes in first and not last. And keep the supplementary weights separate from the ground tackle. In this case, you've got a separate crate here. And only about 2 supplementary weights to a crate, please. Again, it's all around about minimising the risks to people's backs. That's all there is to it. We might as well go home.